Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Z.I.P Talks. Today we're with first officials, Miss Wendy Austin and Miss Stacey Jones. My name is Mohil, and I'm the co-captain and outreach lead of Team Z.I.P Ties.
My name is Ankita, and I'm the business lead of Team Z.I.P Ties.
I'm going to go
Sta-
off camera.
Okay.
I'm
My
gonna
name
turn
is
my
Stacey.
camera off.
My name is Stacey Jones. I am a mentor, a program delivery partner, and volunteer coordinator. Pretty much have done every job in FIRST that you could possibly think of as a volunteer.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. I am in an airplane hangar at an air show, so I'm trying to hear everything, but I might miss something. My name is Wendy Austin, and I am the regional director for FIRST in North and Central Florida.
Well, first off, thank you guys for joining us. And today we'll be talking about outreach and how teams can strengthen sort of that connection with their community. So to start off, how did you guys each get into FIRST, and why do you guys keep on doing it or working with the program?
I'm gonna let Stacey start.
Okay. So 27, almost 28 years ago, my husband, I was a teacher at elementary school, and my husband came in and said that he was coming in to help. He wanted to help the robotics team get started with Pratt and Whitney, and it would only be like an hour a week. I said he's crazy because I said we're about to have a baby. I was pregnant with our first child. And he's like, well, the best part is we get to go to nationals, which what it was called back then, at Epcot. And I'm like, well, I love Epcot. So I said, let's do it, not realizing I would be 9 months pregnant at Epcot, watching the competition. I looked around. I said, "These are my people. This is where I need to be." And I had my son 5 days later. So yeah, I mean, with FIRST, it's a family. It is truly a family. So that's how I got started.
I got started when my parents were judges at the championship that Stacey was at, and they kept badgering me to join a team, get a team, join a team. But my kids were only in middle school at the time, and my mother is evil and had my son come to competitions when he was in 7th and 8th grade and be a field resetter. So by the time he got into high school, he wanted to be on a team, but his school did not have a team. So we got him on a team called the Emoticons out of University High School. And as a freshman, I took him, I dropped him off, I brought food, I helped with, T-shirts and that kind of thing. And I went to the first competition and I was blown away. And they made it to Worlds that year. And then at the end of the school year, the faculty member left the school, and the school told the college and professional mentors that even if they qualified, they were not going to be allowed to travel anymore. They could only do the Orlando Regional. So they didn't want to do that. So I got a phone call about, late October, early November, where the mentor asked me if he said, you've been a soccer mom and a PTA mom and all that. You want to be a robot mom? And I said, that's really expensive. And he said, no, we have lots of money. I wrote a grant. He lied to me. And that's how Exploding Bacon got started, in my living room and my next door neighbor's garage, who happened to be Dan Richardson, which we did not know before kickoff.
And another way that Wendy and I are kind of related, one of my team members, our starting team member, George Wallace, for SPAM, FRC 180, actually graduated. He was one of my first students, and he graduated and went to UCF and was one of those starting members. He was a good friend of Dan's, but he was a starting member of Exploding Bacon. So
That's right.
we have a
OG.
lot of connections, and when I say it's a family, it really is a family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so going off this idea of that first is a family. What are the biggest ways that you guys have been able to do that this past year, and what are some ways teams can do that?
Hang on, the Blue Angels are flying over my head.
They love the Blue Angels, yeah. So basically, for a team, you've got to be able to support your team members, and what we have found in the past few years, these kids change every 4 years. We get a new set of kids, right, and new set of parents, and we retrain everybody. My team is very unique. We have around 28 mentors.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We have 11 or 12. We have 11 or 12 alumni who have all come back and are working with us. It is a huge blessing. And when I tell you that we're a family, we really are, because we have the disagreements. We still do. But it is this past 2 years, we have really worked on getting a branding, because we're 27 years old. We're an old team. We started with getting our branding in line. We follow what Bacon did. Bacon came up with a branding guidelines. We follow up branding guidelines also. We also, with the way everybody they are, we find that the people who have a real big passion for something, we let them run their passion. And we have we now are a 501c3. We are now an LLC called Spam Robotics LLC. We have an MOU, which is a Momentum of Understanding, with our school district. We now are on the business side and the robot side, because my whole key is sustainability. If there is nothing else I have learned in 27 years, some of the biggest teams and some of my best friends are no longer here. The sustainability is very difficult with FIRST, because it's a lot of money. So I think we've learned nothing else in the past couple of years, we've learned that you have to be sustainable. That means you have to get support and funds from a variety of different, variety of different areas. You got grants, you've got sponsors. We have over 70 sponsors. We raise $120,000 to $130,000 every year. It is huge, and we put a lot of that on the students. And we have the because our sponsors, they love us, they love me as a person, but they don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you. They want to hear from the students. So we start partnerships. So we put the sponsors with the student, and they write letters every time we do something or win something or go somewhere or do something. They write an email to the sponsors and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We do a lot of lunch and learns. We do a lot of bagels and bots, keeping our sponsors involved in what we're doing. We basically just take ideas from a plethora of teams, and we just use them to what works with our team.
No, yeah. I think our team especially has learned the importance of sustainability throughout the years. We started as an FLL team actually, and then we graduated into an FTC team after 2 years. And we've understood the importance of sustainability, not even financial sustainability, but team sustainability, making sure that we get new rookies every year. How do we train them in the team? How do we also train veteran members? And then how do we raise enough money to go to Worlds and just keep up with the season itself? So at first, it's definitely a lot of money to put into, but we also, it's about like how we've learned throughout the other like past seasons of like what grants can we now apply to, making sure we keep like good relations, making like new mentors and all of that. Is there like any other like kind of like tips of like sustainability that you have for like other teams?
I really enjoy watching Exploding Bacon. I really enjoy watching Team Rush 27. And then there's some FTC teams that I really enjoy. I was one of the ones starting a new FTC league this year. So FTC is my newest passion. So I love FTC. But we started the Fun League this year. The whole key about sustainability is what works with your team. And I tell people all the time, always plan to go to Worlds. Always. Always. You start the year out saying we're going to go to these events and we are going to go to Worlds, and this is how much money it's going to cost. This is how much money we have to raise. Always plan to go, and it breaks my heart when I see an amazing team, they win, and then everybody's frantic because we have 3 weeks to get to Worlds, and you're like, you should have been planning this prior. So always plan to go. First actually has a really great part in their website on fundraising. There's some amazing ideas on what to do for fundraising, but always plan to go. And, when you're going to Worlds, we ride a bus. The bus for us is around $12,000. We have a hotel that's 30 minutes out. That's $89 a night. They serve breakfast. They have a meeting room. We plan all these things out, but our plan started back in September, October. So, that's how we do it.
I'll have to agree with Stacey. And one of the things that a lot of teams, I think, don't consider is that fundraising is a year-round proposition.
Yes.
Summer camps are a great way to raise money. Doing parents' night out during Christmas or during spring break or something like that are great ways to raise money. Writing grants, throwing FLL tournaments is a great way to raise money. There's just so many different ways, and like one of the judges said one year for bacon, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You have to diversify just like you would with a stock portfolio and get all of your money from various places. But one of the other big downfalls I have found in teams is that if you are a school team and your faculty support mentor moves schools, quits, retires, whatever, that is where teams die. And I think that it is very important. Granted, we are a family. I think it's important to have all family members involved in first. And if you can get families involved, their parents are going to be there for all 3, 5, 7 kids, whatever it is. Oh, hang on. There's the Blue Angels. Wow. They're very loud. And that's one of the reasons I like about outreach is because with outreach, you do get a chance to meet people from various places that you might not consider when you're thinking of fundraising. You might be talking to a CEO of a company, but they're in a pair of board shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops, so you don't realize it, but you impress them so much, they say, hey, I'd like to sponsor you. And that's why you always have a business card. I'm a big fan of business cards, but students cannot put their name and number on them. They have to put a team number. Y'all, this is hard.
Well, and one of the things I do is I use an app called Blink, BLINQ, and I make one for myself, but I also make one for the team so that the team members do not put their personal information on there. They put, the team website or the team email, and Blink is free. Okay, so I use that, and so I totally agree with Wendy. You don't put your eggs in one basket. That happened to spam. I forget what year. It was early on, maybe 2007 or something like that. And we had one big sponsor, and it might have been earlier than that. And they decided they were not going to sponsor us the following year. They didn't do any sponsoring, and we were frantic because we didn't have anybody else. And how are we going to make this work? And that was a big wake up call for us. And so we have sponsors that are the whole gamut. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is go on Google, and you go on Google Business, and you put in within 10 miles of your location or your pit location, and you put in there, all these businesses will then populate. And you're like, okay, well, you four people, I need you guys to cold call these businesses. I need you guys to cold call these businesses. And then you need to follow up with a visit and say, and pass out a flyer. Hello, my name is this. This is my robotics team. We really could use your support. You might get one, but one is great, right? Because it kind of goes over. We do a lot. We do over 100 demos. And with our demos, we always are prepared for the location. And so we always, we have, if it's a kids demo, we'll have Lego. If it's a people, like a company demo, we'll make sure we have videos of the robot and videos from first, kind of play to the crowd, right? And we were at the Martin County Fair, which is our local fair here. And we had a gentleman come in, and he wrote us a $5,000 check.
Oh, wow.
And so that is the kind of thing that happens when you put yourself out there. Does it happen all the time? No. I mean, we go to a lot of them, but it's still outreach. It's still community support. We do the parade every year. We don't get any money from it, but it gets our name out there, and people see the robots. They recognize us. And this year we had a wonderful thing happen with our Martin County School District. The school board actually gave us a building. It's a 6,500 square foot building. We've been asking for, 15 years for a place. And so we have, for the past 3 years, pre-COVID, we were meeting in the fairgrounds, when we were very thankful to have it, but there was no air conditioning, and there were rodents who really like wires of robots. So, we had a lot of trials. The school board loves us. We go to all the school board meetings, as many as we possibly can. And so we're always in the front of their mind. We go to the county commissioner's office and county commissioner meetings, always in the front of their mind. And the superintendent of schools came, and he loved what we were doing. He says, I think I have an idea of where there might be a building for you guys. And now we have this building. I mean, it was a lot of steps to get there. But we have this amazing building, 6,500 square feet. We are going to be running FTC and FLL and First Robotics. We have a full field. And but it took us a long time to get there. But it's those networks and those connections that you guys need to constantly be working with. I very rarely say no. If someone says, we have this is my favorite one. We do parking. We do help parking for our women's club of stewards. They have a Christmas thing every year, and they go from house to house and look at Christmas decorations. Nothing to do with robotics, right? They support us because they really believe in robotics, and they really believe in girls. And we do have a lovely group of girls on our team this year, and they give us checks. It's $500, $1,000, $2,500, but it has nothing to do with robotics. They just support us, and we support them by doing stuff for them.
Yeah.
So very rarely do we just go to somebody and say, just give us money. We try really hard to have some kind of relationship.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like even for us, even though we not may not be getting like funding from a certain individual or group, the best thing we can go out and do is help them or serve our community. And like for us, that's been like our initiative at the Westside Community Center. So like there, we help a couple of students, and we've been teaching them first robotics by just building a simple drivetrain.
Yep.
And like this past week, or not this past year actually, we hosted a school supplies drive, which like school supplies have no correlation to robotics, but these small things have been getting our name out there. And actually through the school supplies drive, we've been making connections within our government and got attention of our superintendent and these officials. So because of that,
Right.
these officials can get you up to like higher places. Like, hey, look at this team, what they're doing. They're really representing what Seminole County and what we're really putting into these students, and this is like the outcome.
And it really does work. I mean,
Yeah.
Does it work fast? No, but it does work, and you never know who your parents are. Just recently, we had a young man come. He's a freshman, and very quiet young man. And I met his mom, and I'm like, I think I know you. And she was a teacher, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And then met his dad. His dad works at the college, so they are very connected. And now it is like they are such an integral part of our team, and they're making things and doing things and riding on the bus, and you see that young man is now growing in confidence and growing and to me it's like, that's what I do. That's why we do 100 plus demos. That's why we are constantly asking for funding and money. And and you guys have made a name for yourself going up to the Tallahassee, right? And so, you don't even realize I'm down here in South Florida, and you've made a name for yourself, and you don't know how many of us are talking about the great stuff you are doing because you just don't know. So, keep up the good work. I mean,
Thank
really,
you.
it's benefiting all of First. I really am hoping one of my main goals before I retire, and who knows when that will be, is to get all of First in Florida, under one umbrella, and being more of a voice for First in Florida. That's my goal. I would like to be able to go to the senator's offices and tell them this is what we're doing. This is how many kids we're touching and teams we're touching. And I mean,
Yeah.
we can definitely do that. That is a definite. I mean, think how we got so many kids,
Yeah.
and we're changing lives. We are changing lives. And Dean says, we're using robots to build kids, and we are. He could have done anything. If you realize what Dean could have done 35 years ago, he could have made. He could have made a new sports league. He could have made, just anything, but he chose robotics.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty wild where we are now. And did you ever watch the games from back then?
Yeah, like I think I saw like the games where they're
Crazy.
like using like trash cans and like just like cargo just to do simple
Yep.
tasks, which is crazy.
It's crazy. I mean, I was there in 98, and I still remember, people walking on the field during robot games.
Oh, wow.
People just cross over and walk around the field. I remember Woody crossing over, and because he was our MC, and crossing around and just walking around the field, and robots are going, and all the things that we're doing now, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what we're doing 10 more years.
Yeah, like especially like this idea of being a voice for Florida. This year we've actually started talking more with senators and our government officials at the state level, and with a help of like an outside organization, we're trying to create this advocacy conference where Florida FTC and FRC teams and other robotics teams can actually come in, talk with these government officials about, hey, this is First Robotics, and there are these bills and acts that actually affect it. and increasing funding or increasing the awareness about this could actually grow it, because we actually got to talk with the first CEO, Mr. Chris Moore, about this, and he said that First Robotics is at the forefront of being like building up the workforce. So by doing this
Yeah.
at both the state and the local level, and having a voice for first, it's very important.
I think the leader of the Chris Moore fan club. So he's probably one of my favorite. I like all the Chris's. I like Chris Rake too. But for me to see this man, and his background in sports, and his background in and how he really gets people excited about what we're doing, I think huge bravo to First for hiring him, and both Chris's are pretty amazing, and yeah, if you get to talk to him at any time, he's your biggest cheerleader, and I really do enjoy talking to Chris. But one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of people talk about legislatures and all the different work studies and work team going into the work fields, and I think what we do in First is exemplary. It's exactly what the work fields are, right? So I mean, I wish I knew more about the going to work and all the amazing things that they're doing. But if we could get some people that can speak for that, I think that would put us in another level. Because you guys know, I mean, you know how to do tools, you know how to do safety, you know how to network, you know how to build a robot in 6 weeks or less. The wiring, pneumatics, programming. The things that you have learned how to do in the past, couple of months is what the workforce is doing, and it takes them years, and they're working on projects for years, and you're doing the exact same thing in 6 weeks. That's pretty cool. So the workforce initiative, I think, is where we really need to push it in Florida. So I'm challenging myself to learn more. I'm a teacher, so I'm a middle school science teacher, and I would love to be able to say, Project Lead the Way and all the other things that's out there in Florida. I would like First to also be known as that. That's a good goal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, we ourselves have seen like how like I've seen like myself grow in like all the little like engineering aspects, and like from someone before who like I really didn't like touching the robot at all. I just worked on like the notebook outreach and like business,
Yep.
to now like I like learning about like every like new intricate part that we're adding to the robot, like helping make it, like screwing in the screws, and like going to outreach events and like networking ourselves. Like I feel like it definitely opens like so many more doors. But like on that pathway of like how important outreach is and how important like making those connections for teams are like important, what's like a big way that teams can like go out there and like kind of get those outreach events? Because like especially for like newer teams, there's also like there's so much like you can do to like cold email or like start things up on your own. But like what are some like tips and like tricks for people to kind of put themselves out there even more?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we start out with is we start out with brainstorming, and we just throw it on the board. What events are coming up? We'll look on the phones and say, what events are going up? What events can we do? What events are we interested in? What time constraints do we have? And Wendy mentioned it earlier about camps. We run camps. We've been doing camps for, oh gracious, 10, 15 years. So camp is a great way of getting into the community, plus getting some funding for it. That's an amazing way, actually. And so one of the things that you need to start thinking about is just everything. But you have to make sure you don't abuse your students and your mentors, because it's a lot. I mean, you say yes to everything. It can be a lot. So, pick the things that you think will be the most bang for your buck. So my thing is lunch and learns, bots and bagels that you do in at a sponsor or at someone that might be a sponsor. Those are really a lot of fun to do. And they even, sometimes the professional development team at that company will even pay for you to come and show up, and they'll provide the food. And that's a lot of fun. Also just, keeping your ear open for just unique ideas. You guys are Z.I.P Ties, so I always try to come back. I mean, my team is spam, and we have tried to get Hormel as a sponsor. It doesn't happen. They just don't, they're not interested. But, there are ways to get your name out there and get people interested in what you're doing. We always are connected with the Better Business Bureau in our area. If they need teams or people to come in and set up chairs. We've also done the back to school with, like you have, with the backpacks and stuff. We actually deliver backpacks using the robots. That's kind of fun. We did that one year. But a lot of times it's just networking. It is networking. And you'll get, 5 or 6 crazy ones, and then you'll get one that really clicks, and you do it every single year. But yeah, that's how we do it, but brainstorm it. And you never know what connections you have. Like I said, we have a parent who works at the college at the IRSC. So we are now using IRSC as one of our connections. So, you never know. You always ask the parents, the grandparents, do a Google sheet, a Google form. Tell us about yourself, tell us about your parents, tell us, where do your parents work, where do your grandparents work, does any of your family members have something unique? It's a little intrusive, but it's easy for the uncle so and so to say yes to his little nephew because that's their nephew. So that's how we start. How we get a handle on all the different things to do.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think these small factors and these small tasks that you give students, they all add up into something bigger. And something that at least I would like to ask is, when you get to that, that you have a big opportunity in front of you, but you don't know how to manage it. Sometimes older members or mentors on your team might not know how to manage it. What's the best way of going around for that and just, sort of deconstructing it and just fulfilling it to the best you can?
That's a great question. Okay. So, all right. So one of our alumni, she has come back. She works at one of our sponsors. They basically have asked if we would like to come into the sponsors, do a lunch and learn, to show off the robot. And they do a demo for us, and we'll do a demo for them. So how do you usually do that? Is one, you have a working robot. Hint. So you need to have a robot that is working and that is fun to watch. There are sometimes we have robots that struggle to do anything, and they're not really fun to watch. So if you don't have a robot that is fun to watch, you need to make one. So we are actually in the process of, we already talked about, we're going to make an EveryBot, because the robot that we have for this year, it's probably, it's rings, y'all know what the notes are, right? It's not going to, it's, those notes I don't think are going to last very long. I'll just put it that way. So we are in the process of building basically an EveryBot and just having it to where it shoots regular balls, like soft, squishy balls. That way we can, have something that we can show the, whoever we're doing a demo with. So the first thing is to have a robot that's interesting. One of the cool things that we are trying to build this year, and I've been asking for many, many years, I want to build a t-shirt cannon, because I think that's really cool. And I think it's a lot of fun to have a t-shirt cannon and go to sporting events and stuff like that and show, do the t-shirt cannon. So those are the kind of things. Make sure you have a working robot, have something unique and fun. Next thing is make sure that you have some media. You need to have something, either a video that you can show on a loop, or you can have something that, where people are looking at it and they can see what you're talking about. Because, when you tell them, oh, we go to robot competitions, and they're like, they think battle bots. And we're like, well, we're not really battle bots because we try not to destroy each other. And then you start talking about gracious professionalism. So whatever you have, you need to have a working robot. You need to have some kind of media happening. You need to have a flyer with a QR code that ties people back to your website, or maybe to your ask list. You never know. Amazon has a wish list. You can always do a wish list. Those kind of things. If you have a teacher that is on staff, the teacher that's with your team can always do a I just lost the name. The teacher can always do the ask, so they can get donations. Sorry, I just lost my brain. And then so robot, media, flyers, and always just have. I like QR codes. QR codes are easy. People understand them. That's pretty much what we do. And so I break it down with talking to whoever we're going to. How long do you want us to be there? Normally it's less than an hour. Do you want us to do small groups and talk to each group, or you want us to do a big production and then talk to people afterwards? It just depends on what they want you to do. If you are, trying to ask for money, you always have a wish list. We always have a wish list because there's always something we need. I'll give you an example on a wish list. So we had Milwaukee Tools come to our pit about a couple months ago. And we, everybody loves Milwaukee. We can't afford them. We love them. But they asked us, they didn't understand what we were doing. So they came to our pit. We showed off them, what we're doing. They're like, we love this. This is great. They sent us like a couple of things, like a big pallet of stuff, which was great. It was like $1,000 worth of stuff. But it was like, the Milwaukee chairs and a clock. You see what I mean? It's not really tools. It were like, stuff, which was great. We love it. It was awesome. And then we invited them to come to watch us in a competition. So they came to South Florida, and she watched us in South Florida, and her eyes were like this big. Like, this is insane. And she gave us the catalog and said, pick what you want. Okay. So we picked some stuff. They sent some stuff. So now we have pack outs, and we have drills, and we have battery packs, and we have all the things that we need to make our pit better and help make the robot better. But that was a lot of like little talking to get us through to the big stuff. And now, they are our sponsor, and we always honor our sponsors. We always send them a thank you. We hook a student with that sponsor. The student always sends out an email saying, this is what we're doing. This is where we are. Here's a picture. Here's a website. We always keep your sponsors connected, always. And that's going to be our touchstone moving forward. So that was pretty cool. I mean, I was pretty impressed with how that worked, but that took probably at least 4 months of constant working and networking.
Yeah, I think that's really applied to our team. One of our biggest sponsors, Sim Central Florida. When we were an FLL team, we started off with just going to one event. It was like one of their big conferences. But after that, we slowly started attending more and more of their events. And actually, some of them came to our state championship, our smaller competitions, and even to our patio. And through that, they've been able to see the progress we've been able to make. And because they see that and the inspiration we sort of have from there, they believe more and more in our team and have invested more and more into our team.
Another thing is, you're a senior this year, right?
Yeah.
So what is your plan for the next group?
So at least for me, actually this year we have 6 rookie members. Nice. And, obviously we're going to bring some more kids into our team. But my plan, at least for the summer, is to train these kids about what is an outreach event, how to attend an outreach event, what are the do's and don'ts about everything, and just creating this sort of base. Because next year, it doesn't matter if we win or lose, as long as we have a strong base to work off with a young core.
Right.
That's really what I want to emphasize with this group.
Well, and also, I mean, I want to challenge you on that thinking. It does matter if you win. Sponsors will sponsor you. Um, and I hate to say it that way, but
Yeah.
in the real world, that's where sponsors want. They want to sponsor you, and you as, you're the face of the Z.I.P Ties, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely look at your branding and make sure your branding. And I learned this from Exploding Bacon for sure. I will tell you the truth out. We stole a lot, but the whole point is get your branding on so it stays the same. And I remember you guys from FLL. I've been doing this a while. And I remember your branding has been on point, right? So keep your branding the same. And that the people might change, right? But your branding stays the same. So sponsors feel more comfortable sponsoring you year after year because they know you're into sustainability. They know that you're going to be this, you're the same Z.I.P Ties as you were 3 years ago.
Right.
Just, a little bit better. You're a little bit more. But yeah. And I mean, and this is another thing. If you don't win something, it's okay, but you need to make sure that your sponsors know that what you did. So we built this robot, and this robot is ranked 5th in Florida, or something like that. And you can see your stat bots, botics, you can see your ranking and stuff like that. Always give your sponsors, look how great we did this year. Always positive. Always. Don't start anything with, oh, we didn't win this year. But you always start with, look what we did. We made this robot that does this, 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 and this. And we scored so many points doing this. It's always with a positive. That's with judging. That's with sponsors. That's with any way that you perceive the team or share what your team is doing. Always with a positive.
Yeah, for sure. And on the point of like how you were saying how like that idea of like it kind of does matter if you win, like I totally agree with you on that, because over the past few years, like I've seen especially how like the amount of money that we're able to bring like in with donations and like with like funding and sponsorships increases when you have like that eye catcher of like the first email line being like, oh, like we are first and second in the whole state, or like we're one of 4 teams to go to the world championship. Like
Exactly.
that like brings people to be
And
like,
that
oh,
makes sense, right? Because everybody wants to back a winner, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's that's our our the Olympics. That's kind of like where everybody wants to do that, right? So there's nothing wrong with it, but at the same time, we kind of balance that with our gracious professionalism and our core values. So you want to be humble, but you still want to know, to your sponsors and and the judges and everybody to know that you have done and you have accomplished this, and this. So always never be afraid to toot your own horn. Seriously. I mean, if you can't cheer for yourself, then who's going to cheer for you? And I just firmly believe that our kids deserve every single accolade they can possibly get, and that's why whenever I do competitions or whenever I'm running an event, I will give out every medal, every award that First will possibly let me give out, because I think every team deserves to have that special something. And, it doesn't happen that way. You can't give every team an award. But I want to give out as many awards as I possibly can, because I know you guys are going back to your sponsors and saying, this is what we did. This is what we won,
Yeah. Yeah. No, like I think something that was really significant for us is between like our league champs. We were the second Inspire and the finalist Alliance captain. And then at States, we're the second Inspire again, but we're going to the World Championship. So as Ankita was saying, the first line in the majority of our emails are, we're one of 4 teams advancing to the World Championship, which
Exactly.
catches their eye, and we just develop that conversation with them.
And it's a conversation starter, and it makes me so excited that you guys do that, because that means that you guys have sustainability in your team, and that you're preparing to go and you're preparing to win. Always prepare to go. Always. Start your fundraising, start your fundraising in the summer, saying this is how much money we need to raise to go.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah. And at least for most teams, if they don't make it to the World Championship, or after the World Championship, what are the best ways they can prepare in the off season, as you're saying, in the summer, not just for financial sustainability, but for team sustainability?
Great. We all have off-season events. If your area does not have an off-season event, I would have no problem planning one. I mean, plan an off-season event with a couple of teams in your area. You guys have, did y'all do Swerve Drive this year? No.
No, we didn't.
No. Okay. But what did you do that was special this year that you didn't do last year?
In terms of our robot, or
yeah,
I think something at least this year is with our odometry pods, we broke away from the traditional open odometry pods and created our own design, and we implemented that on our robot.
That is huge. That is huge. So what I would suggest for you guys is you have broken the mold and you're doing something new. I would definitely become sharers of that. Share that information. And we're always opening up our doors in our pit area and inviting teams to come in. And you guys, do that. If you don't have the space, the library is always willing to host and have teams come in. But always, you have something special to share with other people. And that would be what I would like that to happen. And everybody shares something that they've done. And it's hard. I mean, you want the summer off, and I get it. But at the same time, learn a new skill, learn something different, learn how to CAD, learn how to program, learn how to do pneumatics, learn how to do something different, and then teach others. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, okay. I think just showing your sponsors and potential team members that, hey, we're learning something new, that fact and that idea, that even though we accomplished all this last year, we're actually planning on doing this to grow the team, which is pretty significant, not just to your sponsor, but also to your team's sustainability.
Correct.
And at least with that, for teams who are going from their first to second year, and on the contrary, for veteran teams, what are the best ways that they can, what are the best ideas or ways they can show that or do that during the off season?
Say that one more time. I missed that.
Yeah, so for rookie teams who are going into their second year of doing first robotics, what are the best ways they can sort of have a leg up? Because sometimes they might not be able to just think of ideas or create something that's out of the new or out of the box.
Well, for us, I mean, you got to think about it. If you're a rookie team, you kind of you already know what you need to work on, whether it is a new type of a grabber, a new type, because FTC especially, you're going to have a grabber, you're going to have something. So it's always good to start doing prototypes and start figuring that out. You always know that you're going to be programming, and there's so many things now teaching you how to program. I would actually try to connect with a veteran team and see if you can start doing a conversation. That would be what I would do. And just realize you're not supposed to know everything. We were all rookies at one time. So, we all built the plywood robot. Everybody built a plywood robot at first. So just understand that. But yeah, that's what I would do, is definitely connect with a more experienced team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a really good idea, and especially really easy to do, because at league champs and local tournaments, teams are willing to go out of their way to talk to you, and it just creates a connection, not just for you, but potentially to their sponsors and other individuals within their team and outside their team, for team sustainability and financial sustainability. But yeah, I think that's like all the questions I have, at least. Keith, is there anything else you want to add or talk about?
No, I think that was it.
So before we end the stream, at least, what has been your favorite experience in FIRST and why?
Hold on just a second.
No
My
worries, no
apologies.
worries.
That's okay. I'm just trying to turn off my my noise on this one. Okay. My favorite FIRST experience.
Yeah, experience in FIRST.
I think when we do competitions. Hold on just a second.
No worries.
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Hold on a second. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm in another meeting. I'm on here when they join. Okay. Sorry. We're meeting with the. That's my favorite thing. So we're meeting with the Rembrandts from Netherlands.
Oh wow.
We're having a meeting with them because we're Team Rev. So which is really cool. But my one of my favorite things about FIRST, and I said it once, and I'll say it probably more times than you probably want to listen to, but we're a family. A little dysfunctional, a little bit exciting, but always supportive. Always. I know that I can call you and ask you for help. I know I can call Wendy Austin and I ask her for help. If I have a dilemma or something happening, I know who I can call and who I can talk to. That is networking in its finest form. And so that's what FIRST does. I mean, FIRST gets, my daughter now works for Michelin Tires in South Carolina. She's an industrial engineer. She did FIRST her whole life. And she is a rock star. And what got her this job was that she knew how to talk and how to explain problems to other people because she did it in FIRST. And, you know, it actually gives you the skills that you need for the rest of your life. So that's why I love FIRST.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you guys. And I'm sorry Wendy popped off. She just couldn't get back on. She said that the connection it wasn't working. So
that's okay.
That's okay.
But I appreciate you guys, and I hope great things for you. And I will come and see you at Worlds.
Yes.
I will be on FRC field. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm volunteer coordinating on a field, so you come see me.
I'll have the blue
sparkly hat on. So.